Hi, everyone. This is Joe Massaro with Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club, and I'm so excited today because we are in October and we're getting closer to the holidays, and what fun to have author and friend Katie Reid with us. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, we met, I don't know if you'll remember this, a couple of years ago at Carol Ken's Speak Up Conference, which is so wonderful. Of course, we both love it. We met, and I held your current book at the time, Made Like Martha, and it was so wonderful. And we had a photo taken together, which I actually just put up on my website. I dug through photos and I found that, and I was like, oh my gosh, what fun we had that day.
We did. I totally remember, Joe. I remember you telling me how you had this book club and it just sounded so wonderful.
So why don't you take a second and just share a little bit about Made Like Martha, and then we'll go into your current book.
Sure. Look, Joe said, hold it up. So there you go. Made Like Martha. Yeah. So I'm Katie. I live in the middle of Michigan. I'm a firstborn girl, and I so relate to Martha from the Bible. In Luke 10:38 through 42, there's two sisters. Martha, we believe, is the older sister, and she's busy getting ready for company. And she wishes that her sister Mary was helping out a little bit more. And so she goes to Jesus and says, hey, look, I'm doing this all alone. And Joe, I so wanted the story to go differently. I so wanted Jesus to say, yes, Mary, go help your sister. But that's not what he said. He said, Martha, you're worried and distracted about all these things, but only one thing is necessary. And Mary has chosen the better part. And that used to frustrate me so much because I totally understood how Martha was feeling in that moment. But Made Like Martha really dives into what was Jesus saying and what wasn't he saying? Because I think a lot of us who are made like Martha have looked at that as, well, I must be bad. Mary must be good. She's right. I'm wrong. And that's really not what Jesus was saying. I believe he was inviting Martha to serve from a place of peace and rest, knowing that she was loved, not trying to earn that love through all these good works. Because the reality is, Joe, unless Jesus was going to multiply loaves and fish again, or unless they were fasting,
Yeah.
somebody had to cook for the company, right? But I think so many of us strive and we panic and we're trying to do all these things that we get distracted by what the main thing is. So I don't think he was asking her to stop serving, because serving is an important part. Working, is an important part of our life. But I think he was inviting her to do it from a place of settledness instead of that striving. So that's what Made Like Martha takes a look at.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that book. So I totally recommend that one, but we're not going to be talking about that one today. But you are, first of all, the author of that book. You are, which I didn't know you were a singer and a songwriter, which I so love because all my life I've wanted to be that. Podcast host of the Martha and Mary show. You have a master's degree in secondary education. You are a fan, thumbs up for this, hot chocolate and Christmas lights. Love it, love it, love it. You and your husband and 5 children live in Michigan, where the wonder of the holiday season is never far away. And people can connect with you at katiemreid.com, and it's REID.
You got it. That's right.
So 5 children. I just love that. I had 5. Well, I have 5. Well, I had 5 children, but one of mine passed away when he was very young. But so just to have 5 children is huge on top of everything else that you do.
I'm not bored. And they're very supportive and helpful. But yes, we have 5 lively children. They range in age from 4 to 16.
Wow.
So we do have a driver in the house now, which that is making life easier.
Oh, yes. So let's go to, this is your first novel, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So it's a very Bavarian Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Love the book. Love the characters. Love the storyline. Love I'll talk about some other things later, but how did you come about? And I always ask this question because our listeners are always interested. Okay, this book didn't just appear. You obviously, it started somehow, and all the research and the fun things that you've been doing on top of it. Maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, even when you said this is your first novel, I'm like, whoa, like pinch me. It still doesn't seem real, because I grew up reading, one of my favorite authors is Robin Jones Gunn. And I grew up reading her Christy Miller series and some of these other books, and I love them. And of course I kind of dreamed of, ooh, wouldn't that be fun, to write books like this. But honestly, I was intimidated by fiction. I didn't think I would have that many words to say that I had made up in my head,
Mhm.
And I have a lot of friends that write historical fiction, and they, Joe, will just research so many different, the different era and all of that. And I honestly had no interest in that.
Mhm.
That sounded like daunting to me. But I read some books by an author called Bethany Turner,
Mhm.
and she writes rom-com, modern day books, kind of like books you picture could be movies. And I remember reading it, and I was so inspired to try it because I'm like, I know pop culture. I know this current world. It wouldn't take as much research, to write about what I already know. And so that was a big part of it. And then also my family visited a large Christmas store in the middle of the summer. And I looked around and I said, surely someone has, done a Hallmark movie or written a book about this place. And so I went home, and not long after, I had about 15,000 words. The story just started coming because the place was so vivid, it was just like a story waiting to happen. And so that's kind of the background of how the book got started.
Well, I was thinking Hallmark movie as I was reading the book, so
That's our prayer and hope.
yeah, that would be just wonderful. So you've obviously written the book, it's out, but you did some other research. You had some fun this week, I believe it was as well, because I was watching you and hearing about your visit and all the things you did on one day with, I think, some family and friend members. So,
Yeah, so the book came out on October 20th, and I took my daughter, my sister-in-law and her daughter, and our other sister-in-law, and we went to Frankenmuth, which is a Christmas themed town. And we went to some of the places that inspired me to write the book. For example, there's a guy that buys carriage rides tickets for a girl in the book that he likes. And so we went on a 15-minute carriage ride. That was what the budget allowed. And we just had fun pretending we were living out the book. It was a blast.
it sounds like so much fun. I am like the biggest fan of Christmas. My mom was like all out at Christmas time. And I actually have, she passed in '09, and I
Mm.
actually have a bunch of her stuff that she used at Christmas time. So Christmas is always just so much fun, and it reminds me so much of my mom.
Oh, I love that. And we're kind of one of those families that try not to celebrate Christmas, till after Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
especially my husband. He's like, we're going to wait for Christmas music. But I tell you what, Joe, this year has been hard for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I think everyone is ready to celebrate it even before Halloween, right? We're all just getting in that mood. And especially with writing this novel, I feel like I've been experiencing Christmas all year long. And so I think it's going to be even more magical this year because I've been living that, through the pages of the book.
Yes. Well, I love that. I absolutely love it. And besides Christmas, we celebrate, more importantly, the birth of Jesus. But to have
Absolutely.
this kind of fun is just, I have just so enjoyed it. And I have needed this year, especially as you say, we really have. So you have your character in this is Holly. And is she based on a real friend?
Yeah, I actually have a friend named Holly Noel who was born several days after Christmas. And Joe, she's also a writer, and she is the Christmas queen. She loves Christmas. She loves Christmas stores. She loves collecting decorations. And of course, I mean, her name is on a lot of
Right.
holiday decorations, right? But so when I was getting ready to write this book, I said, Holly, your name, Holly Noel, is perfect for my main character. Could I have permission to use your name? She said a resounding yes. But here's the thing, my character does not like Christmas. In fact, there's a lot of pain associated with that holiday. And so as my real life friend Holly Noel is reading about the fictional Holly Noel, she goes, Katie, she needs to like Christmas. I'm going to have an intervention with her. And so, yes, they both share December birthdays, but one likes Christmas and one does not, at least for most of the book. So, yes, that was fun to picture. And my character, she's single, she's in her 30s. Obviously, my friend is older than that, but they're both brunettes too. But it was just fun to be able to use that name because Holly Noel.
You couldn't make that up.
Right.
So maybe you could share a little bit about some of the other characters. I know that for the dad, that's part of the story, and maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So part of the reason Holly doesn't like Christmas, which you find out really early on in the book, is that her dad has a disability, and that happened around Christmas time. And so she was, a young girl when this happened. And so for her, like, she used to love her birthday, right? On Christmas Eve, it was lots of fun. But then because of her dad's issue, then all of a sudden, like, it took all the joy out of it. And she and her dad were really close, but things just aren't the same because he doesn't have, his same mental capacities, and it's just a real source of pain for her. And so we kind of see her journey with that and grappling with that throughout the novel.
Yeah, and I really love how you brought that part of the story along as well. Um, you want to share anything else about anybody else in the story? I don't want to give away, but it's all up
Right.
to you. You can tell whatever you want.
Well, there's a couple older ladies in the book that are my personal favorites. One is Betty Jo Wilson. She's the store manager, and she's just over the top, right? She just, she kind of sings as she walks, hello, and just is this jovial woman, kind of Mrs. Claus, if you can picture that. So I really love Betty Jo. And then also there's a minor character. Her name is Donna Rasmussen. And Donna is her husband's a dentist. She's always tan from, going on cruises and whatnot. And she's just kind of over the top in her own way, kind of, just real quirky and a little intimidating. And so those two women were just super fun to write about and incorporate some of the humor throughout the book.
You talk about the get along shirt. Maybe you could share that, because I'm going to share what happens to me and my friends when we were small. So you tell us your story first.
Sure. Well, I got this idea. I saw it like a meme on Facebook, and it was basically these two siblings were not getting along. And so their parents put them in like a triple XL shirt, the get along shirt, where they had to work it out because they were in such close proximity. And Joe, we have done this at our house a time or two. We have two of our kids that are very similar, and they're kind of like oil and water. And so we have gotten a shirt out, and they were miserable. They're just standing there. And so Holly and her brother are reminiscing over Thanksgiving about how their parents used the get along shirt to help them, try to work through some of their issues.
Well, when I was growing up, what my dad used to do is he had this short little rope, and if we didn't get along, he would tie our wrists together.
Oh,
And we couldn't go anywhere without the other one, except the bathroom. And so we would have to stay together until we resolved our issues. So I love that. I just think that it reminded me so much of when I was a little kid.
right. And hey, eventually you have to work it out, right? The other thing we've done before is where we call it mom jail or dad jail, where if someone's having trouble getting along, we're like, guess what? You get to go everywhere I go except the bathroom,
Yeah.
right? And we just have them stand right by us. And we're like, okay, you're going to come. We haven't done that in a while, but that was pretty effective as well.
Yeah. I think it really worked. I mean, we definitely did not like it, so we tried very hard to resolve our issues. Okay, so at some point in time, Holly Noel is in church, and
Mhm.
she's having this conversation with God. And I'm going to read exactly what you have in there, because I don't want to paraphrase it. God, hey there, it's me, Holly. So the thing is, I'm tired of feeling I'm half here. I'm tired of living fragmented. It feels like a part of me is missing. I need a breakthrough. Will you help me out? And I really felt that really jumped out at me, because I really feel there are so many people that have struggled, are struggling, certainly this year with COVID, and they're trying to get a breakthrough from God. And so this is really, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, this is a year we're never going to forget. What
Mhm.
would you say to someone? And I know that Christmas, for us is so much exciting and so much fun, but it's not going to be that way for people this year. For maybe a lot of people, the holidays are tough to approach. What would you say to someone who might be struggling right now?
Oh, yeah. I think part of it, and this is not to give too much away, but this is a lesson that Holly learned, is she's so focused on how things used to be,
Mm,
right? The good old days before dad was disabled.
right.
And I think for so many of us, it's like we're trying to go back to how things were before COVID, and rightly so, right? We're like, those were the good old days.
Right.
Are things ever going to be that way again? But an important lesson that Holly learns is she cannot control things. She cannot make things be exactly how she wants them to be. But when she realizes and lets go of some of that, then she's able to see the gifts and the blessings of what she already has, even though things aren't how she wants them to be. When
Right.
she lets go of that kind of unrealistic expectation, then she's freed to enjoy some of those things that are right in front of her. And
Mm,
I think too, like, I haven't thought too much about the holidays, Joe, because I don't know what that means, for family gatherings and all of that. But, one thing that's been a blessing, even though we're probably all tired of Zoom, right? I've actually talked to my parents more
mhm.
because of that. And so
Yes.
even though I would love it to be in person, trying to just enjoy, wow, I got to talk to my parents more this year. It wasn't ideal, but just focusing, kind of pivoting our perspective to, we really are blessed with a lot. And these losses are hard and heavy, and we're not trying to make light of them.
Right.
But as we can focus on what's right in front of us, right? I think so many times, and Made Like Martha, I talk about this. We miss what we already have when we're scrolling. We scroll to see what we've missed, but then we miss what we already have. And so
Yeah.
I think it's that contentment and that peace. And I'm just praying for all of us, this season, that it wouldn't, I pray there'd be some lightness there, even amidst the heaviness and the loss. And I really hope our prayers that this book will help do that. It is
Mm,
fun and it is funny, but there are some deep life lessons
yeah,
as
sure.
well about saying yes to God, saying yes to the yes of Christmas, Jesus, even when we don't know how it's all going to go.
I so agree with everything that you just said. And I'm grateful for it because I think we all need to hear that. So thank you. Um, one of the things I loved, there's so many, one of the things I loved about your book is that you interject movies and music and so much fun stuff into it. And I love one of the, I just hit a button on my side. Um, I love the fact that you did music. And one of my favorites is Bing Crosby. And you use a song, and I'm just scrolling down, sorry, because I messed everything up on my end. You sing talk about a song that I'll Be Home for Christmas. And it was Bing Crosby in 1943. I wasn't born yet, neither were you, but love the song. Um, and you write that it was written from the point of view of the World War II soldier who wouldn't be able to celebrate Christmas with his family because he was serving overseas. And so I just love that because from the time I was a young girl, I think I survived on music and books and movies. And so every time I read something like this, it brings back so many wonderful memories because I have watched so many movies in my lifetime and read so many books and listened to so much music that it's like, it's so much a part of my life, and I appreciate it. I loved it. I really loved the themes of the movies and the music. Um, what made you think of putting those things in there?
Well, I have you seen the movie White Christmas?
Oh yeah. How many times would you like me to tell you I've seen
Yeah.
the movie White Christmas?
So in that, that song is in there. And so
Yep.
I did a little research to kind of find the story behind it, or they might even allude to it in the movie. But I kind of wanted to parallel, here were these soldiers, wishing they were home. Well, Holly's in her hometown wishing she were anywhere else,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of this juxtaposition. And I think we can all sometimes just want to be anywhere but here, right? Anywhere but in this circumstance. But again, it goes back to there are good things even here. And I think sometimes that home is a metaphor, right, for heaven, or even who we're really supposed to be on this earth,
Sure.
right? To find home, like that home base, that center. And so for Holly, she's kind of on this quest to find out, who she is, especially sometimes when we go back to our childhood homes, we
Sure.
revert back to our teenage angsty selves, right? We remember and we maybe act a little bit immature around our nuclear family. And so for Holly, she doesn't feel at home in her hometown or even in her own skin sometimes. And so as the song is being sung, it just stirs up some of those things inside.
Mm. You also share in the book a song, and I wondered, one of my questions in my head was, okay, so whose song is this? Did Katie write it? Did somebody write it? And I didn't go to look it up because I didn't want to. I wanted to just hear from you first on it.
Yeah, so it's called The Yes of Christmas, and I did write it. It was a little, play in there. I said someone commissioned the song. But yeah, we did this at our church actually. It was a musical, and the premise of it was that, Jesus is the yes of Christmas. And so at the beginning of the musical, it shows God and Jesus up in heaven. And God's like, son, it's time. It's time to go. And he's like, should I shave my beard? And he, because he's going to become a baby.
Yep.
And, you know, Christmas time, like you said, can be so much fun and lighthearted, but it also carries this weight to it that Jesus said yes to coming to earth as a baby so that he could say yes to the cross, right? So that we could be reconciled with God. And so the song, the Yes Christmas, is all about that. And in the musical, there's two angels, like an older angel and a younger angel. And she's kind of training her, and they're kind of observing different things that happened like that first Christmas. But we have a mutual friend, Joe, named Jen Hand from
Oh
Ski,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
she talks about putting your yes on the table, right? That we
Yeah.
want to do that. And Jesus did that for us first. And so this song is kind of a reminder of that.
I loved it. I was trying to figure out how it sounded. I couldn't do it, but it was absolutely beautiful. I love the words. You have to check that out in the book as well, because that is absolutely wonderful. So in writing this, do you see a sequel or something new on the horizon for you? What do you know at this point?
Well, Joe, I'm tired. Launching a book is so much fun, but it takes a lot out of you.
Yep.
But yes, the idea as I was writing it, even before I started getting feedback, was to do a sequel. And so what I'm trying to decide, and I would love to hear from your book club people as well, is for the sequel, do I keep it in Holly Noel's perspective? Or do I do one of the other characters, maybe her best friend or someone else? So I'm kind of trying to decide that. I asked my book launch team, and some of them were like, yeah, that'd be cool to hear from another perspective. And others are like, oh no, I want to hear more from Holly's perspective. And even if it's a different character, we'll learn more about Holly. So I definitely have lots of ideas for a sequel, but I don't think it will be a Christmas one. I'm toying with the idea of a very Bavarian summer or a very Bavarian wedding. So we shall see. But actually, I have a friend who's a producer, and she was saying that Hallmark is actually saturated with Christmas writers and Christmas stories. But she said, but they're always looking for summer brides. And I thought, maybe I should try to do that. So I have ideas. I'm just not sure when. But this book actually was written pretty quickly. I started in June of 2019. And then during November of 2019, I participated in National Novel Writing Month. And you can track your progress, and lots of other people write novels in the month of November. So the bulk of it was written last November. So it did go pretty quick, and it was so much fun to write. But as of today, it feels like, I've just had a baby and I'm still at the sleep deprived stage. So give me a few months to regroup. But I also have a couple of kids books that my agent is pitching right now, and also a nonfiction book. So we'll just see what God does. I'm never short of ideas. That is never the problem, but energy, sometimes yes.
Yeah, I'm going to ask that question obviously to book club, And I love the idea of the summer wedding. I think that would be wonderful. Um, and I actually am participating for the first time in November in NaNo
Yay.
writing. So I'm very excited. I have a children's book, more of a chapter book, and then I have a children's book that is, for younger kids. So I'm planning on getting those done once October is. It's been a crazy month, I think, for both of us. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Anything else you want to tell our listeners about your book, about you? I mean, we've covered a lot of things.
Yeah, well, we are running a special promotion right now with the book. So if you purchase 2 or more copies of A Very Bavarian Christmas, you can get a link to the book club kit for free. And you can just find that at averybavarianchristmas.com. But there's trivia questions and chapter discussions. There's a deleted scene, a breakup scene,
Yeah,
some activity ideas, and a Spotify playlist. So we just want to make this really easy for book clubs like yours, Joe, and other people that want to maybe gather some friends, whether that's in person or online,
yeah.
and have a fun holiday read. Because I was telling my husband, I think summer and the holidays are the perfect time for a fiction book. That's, I know when I usually read fiction, you just want something lighthearted. And so we just want to offer that to people. And also, I just want to encourage if there's any writers listening, like, don't wait, for I don't know, sometimes I think we think someone has to tell us you're a writer, but
Mhm.
sometimes we have to tell ourselves that, right? And I am so passionate, Joe, about coaching people through this process. And I have if they go to my website, you can look under coaching. And it offers several things because I want to see people live out their God-given purpose and
Mhm.
create these projects and finish them. So many people start things, start books, and then don't finish. But one time Bob Goff wrote something in a book to me and it said, the world needs your words. And so I echo that to as many people as I can. The world needs your words, whether that's writing in a greeting card for Christmas cards or writing like you are, Joe, during November. But I just think what a legacy to leave and hope to give the hurting world.
It's so true. I will tell you this, that this past week I turned 70.
Oh, you look great, Joe.
Yeah,
What's
thank
your
you.
secret?
Jesus. I will say that because he just has helped so much take away all the baggage and all the stuff in my life. And I think that that has given me so much of a better perspective about who I am. But I never envisioned myself being an author or a writer. Never. It would have been the furthest thing away. I interview authors, I promote authors, I do all those kind of things, but not write. And so if I can do it, and the reason I'm saying this is if I can do it at 70, you can do it. So do not give up. Connect with Katie. Let me just say this too, as well. When you read her book, please go make a review for her. Go to Amazon, go to Goodreads, and put up a review. It's one of the things I think as readers that we fail to do so much. And authors work very hard at what they do. And those reviews really, really help them. So please make sure you do that as well. What can I
Thank you.
say? It has been so much fun to see you.
You too, Joe. Thank you so much. And just blessings on all you do. I know you bring so much joy. And I can't wait to hear about your projects that you finish or get a good chunk on this November. And I hope you have a good Halloween and a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas.
All right, we got all that covered. Now, remember, if you want to find out more about Katie Reid, go to Katie M.
M. Reid. M
M.
as in Martha.
Right, right. There you go. Martha. I'm a Martha. Um, Katie M. Reid, REID.com. Be sure to check out her website and connect with her. We are YahwehSisterhoodBookClub.com. And I also have a new website called JoeMassaroMinistries.com. So check all of those out. We are so excited to have you with us, and thank you so much in your busy, very busy schedule. And thank you everybody for being with us, and we will see you next time.